Alex Ansary here. It is October 20th in the year 2023, just a week after the powerful eclipse, and about 6 months before the April 2024 eclipse, and we will see more war, crime, possessed individuals, violence in our society, and some of you will actually have a spiritual experience, and some of you may actually wake up just a wee bit more to the real agenda that is unfolding. And so I have felt a calling for months to return to the internet, but it was months ago that I started writing down topics that I wanted to put into a book, and I was hoping that I could have written that book before these events manifested. Unfortunately, the events are manifesting. So I'm going to introduce you to a glossary of terms, Alex Ansary terms, that you're not going to hear from others in the alternative media. One of those terms is Anti-Them-Ism. The next term is the switch programming. And the next term is the network. And so I will describe each in brief. But the network is what I would describe to be the alien influence over much of humanity today and key individuals in both the mainstream media and the alternative media. And so you'll see certain individuals that are almost seemingly saying the same things, spreading the same lies, and it's not necessarily that they're all getting a government paycheck or working for a global intelligence agency, but some may be. They're actually getting these downloads in which they're receiving through their brain that has a psychic potential, although they don't really know how to control it or harness it or to keep out the negative influences. So a lot of people are walking around like an open channel, especially when they're online all day and they have no discernment. And there are negative entities, I believe, that do live in these machines. We're going to talk more about that. And so I think a lot of people are tied into this network, and they're embedded, their consciousness is embedded with a program and a certain understanding of the worldview, lost in the illusions of separation. And so when it comes to the term the switch, this is something that I've been thinking about for over a year, and it's the idea of the period in which Islamic individuals, immigrants, and even those that aren't Muslims, that might even be Christian, that might even be born in the United States, but they may have Middle Eastern or Southeast heritage or Central Asian heritage. When the switch is flipped, think about a light switch, all of a sudden the hate is back on. Like that song says, the heat is on, the hate is on. And so we see periods in which there's a massive amount of events that may even be staged events or crimes committed by possessed individuals. For example, knife attacks in France, murders in Sweden, things of that nature that are blamed on immigrants. You'll notice how it seems to happen all the time. And so the devil is behind this, even working through those individuals that are creating the crimes. And that includes the actions of Hamas. And what does it do? Does it do anything to actually help those individuals, their cultures, their predicament, their situation, their lives? It doesn't. It actually makes things worse. And so if you saw constant fake news about all immigrants being ISIS, for example, people would eventually wake up and they wouldn't buy the bullshit. The reason why they activate the switch programming is because humans today have shown themselves to not be very intelligent or remorseful when they shared fake news when it clearly came out to be and was demonstrated to be and was proven to be disinformation. And there were no significant terror attacks in the 2015-2016 period. They were individual events, which again, you can deal with in that situation, be dealing with demonic possession. And so a lot of people are not aware of these things. And so they're being played by these dark forces. They're being turned towards hateful actions and hateful thoughts. And Alex Jones was very involved in this knowingly in 2014 and 2015, where his broadcasts actually influenced some of his audience members to stalk and taunt and threaten various Islamic communities in the United States, in various states. And he has never truly been held accountable for that. Often when people talk about Alex Jones in a critical tone, they're talking about Sandy Hook, they're talking about his recent lawsuit, they're talking about how he owes a certain amount of money, they're talking about that issue. They're not talking about what he did to innocent human beings. And Alex Jones knows better because Alex Jones inspired me to start a cable access TV show years ago after I saw his documentary film, 9/11: The Road to Tyranny. How many mainstream leftists know that about Alex Jones's history, that he was different then? And how many mainstream leftists actually appreciate the truth about 9/11 coming out? Many of them do not, right? But initially, some of them did before it became a right-wing thing. And so it's very important that people understand that what is happening right now is not an accident. It is deliberate, and it is a stepping stone to later things. I've also hypothesized about the potential of the U.S. doing something really bad to a group of people that turns the whole country, the whole world rather, against the United States, and a coalition is formed. And so if there were to be mass detentions in the U.S. of undesirables, like what was seen in the movie Escape from New York. You can see it on YouTube, the intro trailer from 1996, where the undesirables are taken to a high-tech prison in which they cannot escape.
In the late 20th century, hostile forces inside the United States grow strong. The city of Los Angeles is ravaged by crime and immorality. To protect and defend its citizens, the United States police force is formed. A presidential candidate predicts a millennium earthquake will destroy LA in divine retribution.
Like the mighty fist of God, Armageddon will descend upon the city of Los Angeles.
An earthquake measuring 9.6 on the Richter scale hits at 12:59 p.m. After the devastation, the Constitution is amended and the newly elected president accepts a lifetime term of office. The country's capital is relocated from Washington, D.C. to the president's hometown of Lynchburg, Virginia. Los Angeles Island is declared no longer part of the United States and becomes the deportation point for all people found undesirable or unfit to live in the new moral America.
If that were to happen, perhaps the World Coalition might take action against the U.S. That doesn't mean that Russia's hands are clean. It doesn't mean that China's hands are clean. They have actually infiltrated social media and boosted hateful content. And so a lot of people that are engaged in wicked, hateful content in this nation and on social media, in some cases are working on behalf of China and Russia. When people attack people that are warning people about China and Russia, as I have, they might as well be working for China and Russia, because I'm not attacking those individuals. I'm attacking and exposing and trying to shine the light on these super state nations that are planning to potentially go to war with the United States. And I pray that these events will not manifest, and that all of my predictions, all of my projections will not manifest, and we will know peace and prosperity here on the earth. But in light of the recent developments, the news that is coming out, the threats from China, the threats from North Korea, the threats from Iran, the threats from Russia, even threats from aspects of the Arabic world which are controlled, right? These are not good signs. Now, if you want to see my documentary warning about this upcoming stage-managed Third World War scenario, it's basically a mashup of clips with less of my voiceover, but it's a number of clips that you probably want to see. It's Fourth Horse Rising, and you can see it for free over at alexansary.substack.com. You know, when someone from China started following my VHX page, and I dealt with other levels of interference of a wide range, of which I'll talk about later, I decided to take VHX.TV down when I chose to depart from the internet. And it would be later in the year that someone contacted me with fake news saying that China was about to invade from Canada. And I knew it was fake because I knew that we're not yet at that point yet. We're not yet at the mid-2020s. And of course, these events could also kick off and manifest in the mid-2030s during the next solar peak. We often see articles about that, saying that they need another 10 years for their ships to be produced, for their nuclear arsenal to be ready. But there's plenty of reports saying for years that they will be ready by the 2020s. And I've been reading those articles for years. But I knew it was false when I looked it up on the news. And I'll tell you, there's certain individuals out there that are well loved and liked in the alternative media that are not being held accountable by their audience when they go on Coast to Coast AM and they go on various shows and they say, for example, like 20 years ago, they say that China was ready to invade the United States at the Mexico border. Fast forward 20 years, and those same individuals and others are saying in 2020 and 2021 that they were getting ready to invade invade the United States from Canada. And this disinformation is seemingly, in my opinion, I don't see why it wouldn't be. It seems to be deliberate disinformation to confuse patriots. And by the way, if you want to be a real patriot and liberty person, you need to do more than just sport a t-shirt that says freedom on it with the American flag, because that's what people here do locally. They don't actually get on YouTube. They don't actually speak the truth about what's coming with China and other things. They never talk about the switch programming. They oftentimes believe everything that they're told, and so they purport to be about freedom and act like they're some sort of a tough guy with their ball cap, with their shirt that says freedom, with their American flag, and yet they fail to show bravery to speak about the things that need to be said. And they aren't even individuals whose demographic is being targeted at this time. Whereas I have faced a lot of persecution in my life, right? And I still have chosen to speak about these things. Now, the next thing that I'll talk about is the fact that recent videos that I've made, just so you're aware, right? Predominantly my audience happens to be white, because those are the individuals that are receptive to this content, that are choosing to not be gatekeepers, and the algorithm primarily is serving up my content to that demographic. But this content is for everybody. So Muslims need to hear this message, immigrants need to hear this message, people of ethnic backgrounds that are not Muslims, even if they're Christians, they absolutely need to hear this message. If Christians that are ethnic think that they can escape persecution because they're not Muslim, they are not paying attention at all to the Anti-Them-Ism program. And so that's the next glossary term, right? Next to the switch programming and Anti-Them-Ism, and the network, Anti-Them-Ism is when certain people are being hated because they are being compared to terrorists. And so you see Afghan refugees suffering from the Anti-Them-Ism program and other ethnic minorities. But many, many Middle Eastern people, as I told you in other videos, from East Indians to Pakistanis, to Iranians, as I see, to people in Turkey, to other nations, they face persecution. Afghani refugees face persecution all around the world, not only because of the 9/11 event, but because they are viewed as a lesser than, as subhuman by some of these other Middle Eastern ethnicities. And so, you know, when white people experience racism or anti-white racism, it's normal for them to talk with other white people or people who descend from Europe, as I do as well through my mother's side, right? It's normal for them to do that, and they will find support. Same thing with Black Americans or African Americans. They will also find support from whites and blacks and some Latinos and others when they face racism. When it comes to Arabs, Afghans, and Middle Eastern people, there is such negativity in those regions and hate amongst those people that there is no real compassion for people like me and others that are suffering. What I've discovered in the last couple of days is that I can go into Reddit and I can go into Facebook and I can try to share one of my recent podcasts at alexansary.substack.com, trying to warn them about what I see coming, and they will not allow my posts through, okay? My father will not allow my posts through to his social network and his people. Okay, and so while they complain about racism and they complain about what they believe is coming, because some of them have a concern, right? But many of them don't understand that this is something that comes from both the left and the right. It's not solely a right-wing agenda. When Joe Biden lies to the American people and says that, oh, we tried to help the Afghan people, we tried to help them defend their government. We tried to train them. We tried to teach them, right? We tried to do all these things, but the Afghan people turned their back on us and let the Taliban come back into power. When Biden is doing that, he is displaying to you that Joe Biden is a white supremacist, a lying sack of shit white supremacist who is making shit up deliberately and intentionally so the people turn against the Afghan people. You have other individuals in the New Age movement. And I'm looking at one individual who I used to think a lot of, an individual that I visited years ago at his UFO skywatching ranch in the Pacific Northwest. He's sitting there exaggerating the amount of Afghan refugees that are coming into the United States, and he's marginalizing all of them as terrorists. How many people know that the Afghanis that have been authorized to migrate to the United States since Joe Biden pulled out of Afghanistan, are the translation families, i.e. the individuals that worked alongside the United States. And I knew the whole time these translators were working alongside U.S. troops that those U.S. troops and that government did not care about those people. And I couldn't understand why people would translate for the system when the system and its people knowingly hate them, even though they fought the Taliban in their own way. Some people physically fought the Taliban as far as Afghani troops, and then some people again worked in a auxiliary manner by doing translation services to not only the U.S. military but various corporations. Some of these corporations, by the way, are also very, very corrupt. And that is another discussion. If they really cared about refugees, there would be people on the left showing compassion for what happened, and they would hold Joe Biden accountable. But I saw a woman blogging about the situation in Afghanistan, and even though she had other blogs exposing QAnon, even though she had other blogs exposing the far right, she literally said in her blog, I'm this close to saying the Afghan people deserve it because of the Taliban, showing no intelligence and no research capability to know the history of the Taliban in Afghanistan, which traditionally has been propped up by various forces, by the Pakistanis, by the Saudi Arabians, and perhaps other organizations. For there is a lot of black money that has entered into various parts of the Middle East for years. And people used to talk about this, right? It came out years ago that Taliban and ISIS members had Twitter accounts. In this world of AI, if they were fighting terrorism, they would never, ever, 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 ever give those people Twitter accounts. And because of the Taliban presence in Afghanistan, as you know, hundreds of thousands, at least the bodies that they count in Afghanistan, have been murdered in cold blood. Oh, we thought they were Taliban. In fact, they had no guns, their families, and in some cases, there are allegations of drop guns from Australian troops and UK troops in recent news. That is, the placing of a gun down by the dead body after they murder an entire family. And so you have people in the black community and the white community that say, stop killing black people, rightfully so. But do they ever say, stop killing Afghans with drones? You don't. You don't. And so this is not just white supremacy. This is a form of anti-Them-Ism. This is hardcore racism that is in the hearts of many blacks, that is in the hearts of many Latinos, that is in the hearts of some Asians, that is in the hearts of a great deal of East Indians, that is in the hearts of many Russians, that is in the hearts of many Americans, right? And of course, many Chinese. But of course, there are other Asian groups and there are other ethnic groups that are not necessarily engaged in such propaganda, but because they aren't personally being targeted, they don't see how this involves them. You are a human being, are you not? And I am a human being, am I not? And so what happened to us, folks? What happened to us when we reached this point in supposed human evolution where we don't really see each other as human beings? Where people literally have the gall to say, all lives matter, in retort to Black Lives Matter, but they don't really mean all lives matter. That is bullshit, and you know it. If they truly meant all lives matter, they would never, ever, ever, ever go along with what Biden, Obama, Bush, and Trump, right, have led them into. They would be furious. So we are not a conscious, loving society. And so I wanted to write a book warning about the Anti-Them-Ism program, about the switch program where a light switch is flipped and all of a sudden the hate is on, and it is now. So I didn't predict the Israeli situation. I predicted a series of false flag events to be blamed on Muslims that can later turn towards harm towards these groups, even non-Muslims that are confused for Arabic. And again, Afghans and Arabs are different. Arabs aren't Afghans and Afghans aren't Arabs, but many Arabs have invaded the country of Afghanistan and dabbled in their affairs. If you look at one of my recent posts where I talk a little bit more about this at alexansary.substack.com, where I talk about how governments have harmed these foreign countries and that needs to be exposed. There are snapshots that you can see in which people say, well, you send our boys over there to fight them. And then you bring them over here. What do you expect is going to happen? When, of course, mosques are now being threatened in Portland, Oregon. And these, in many cases, are not even people from Afghanistan, but Muslims from various places. But people are so crazy now that, and they hate Afghans so much that they're actually going to demonize all these Middle Eastern people as Afghani terrorists when they may actually be from other places. And so in this world of perceived hierarchies of the races, those with Afghani blood, right, are viewed as the lowest of the low. So even though I'm predominantly Anglo, from Welsh bloodline and Austrian bloodline and Germanic bloodline with the East Indian bloodline, it's that one other bloodline that's actually like 1/4, right, that disqualifies me from being treated as an equal in the eyes of many, many people. And if I try to assert myself as a man and stand on my feet instead of cower and bow to these individuals, these hateful individuals, on my knees like a coward, right, it seems that society, right, resents a man that asserts himself. Oh, they're all about asserting their own value and saying that their own life is worth something, but when it comes to me, they act like I'm not in the right to be saying that what is happening in this world is wrong, and there is no question why I have suffered for 10 years, being basically chronically homeless, moving from place to place to place, and nobody in Portland, Oregon offering to help me when I needed a place to live. People just assumed I was on smack or something, or assumed because, you know, I used cannabis or something that I deserved it. Fast forward to where we are right now, and cannabis is legal in many places in the US. So it was bullshit for people to judge me over the years and cast me out. But again, reminding you one more time, at present, I am unable to reach ethnic people. Very, very few ethnic people are consuming my content at this time. And so if you're watching this right now and you're ethnic and you're one of the ethnicities that I'm talking about that are being targeted and may be targeted in the future, it is your responsibility to not only share my videos on social media, but to actually share the links to my videos in a YouTube, or rather an email, to where you email your family members, right? So if there is, for example, a father out there somewhere who's the head of a family, and because he doesn't like his son, or because of some other reason, in this time of crisis that we're in, he still thinks it's okay to hold back his son's gnosis and knowledge from his own inner circle, that is not good. And I truly feel that God is not happy with many so-called Christians and Muslims at this time. Now, I will talk in more depth in the future about the interference that I have faced on the computer with regards to AI. Everything that I talk about in my private podcast ends up on the Windows Start app algorithm. That is the news that Windows shows me on the app, right, on the lower left-hand side of the screen for those of you with Windows 11. It takes conversations of mine, podcasts that haven't even been uploaded, and it adjusts the news feed accordingly. That is very creepy. Also, I have a phone, and one of the issues that I'm having with the phone is when I try to dial, it immediately hangs up. And I try to dial again, and it hangs up again. And I tried yesterday to dial a phone number, and it hung up 10 times in a row. And I used to get a lot of robocalls. That has stopped. I keep my phone off most all the time. I just use it for emergencies. But I've had phones in the past, and I've never seen phones when I try to dial just simply like hang up as soon as I dial a number. And it was weird because I was somewhere public, and I said to someone, hey, check this out. I'm gonna dial on my phone, and it's gonna hang up. Watch. And I get ready to show this person. As soon as I hit dial, right, then it's dialing, because I got a witness all of a sudden. Bizarre stuff, folks. Another person says that they're facing interference after watching some of my videos. And I will say, watch my videos in doses. Pace yourselves and meditate and pray in between, because I'll tell you more of the interference that I'm facing. As I was actually watching a video yesterday on YouTube, the volume kept changing. You know, so it was at 100, then it was at 88, then it was 76, and then sometimes it's being dimmed on me. And so it seems like the entities know that I'm warning about them and what they're doing to computers, also known as the Archons, the Demons, the Jinn, the Watchers, the Asuras, and many other names. And so folders will pop up that I'm not telling my computer to pop up, and I'm going to tell you this, and then I'm going to let you go. I got a phone call back in May of this year by a woman far from me who was saying that she was on her way over with her mother and that she was going to be there about 1 o'clock. She said she was passing through Rifle, Colorado.
Hey, Alex, it's Ava. I was just calling to tell you I'll be there about 1 o'clock. I'm coming through Rifle now, so I'll be there about 1. To replay this message,
And I'm like, who is this person and why are they calling my phone and why are they saying that they are on their way over? And I've talked with people about this, and the people that I talk to about this just raise their arms and go, I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, don't you think that's just a little bit odd to receive a phone call from a woman who I did not call, who thinks that she's on her way over to meet me? Who is she actually talking to? Why would she be of the perception that I had talked to her at that time? So folks, I'm going to wrap things up. I need your prayers. If you want to leave positive comments for me that are of a supportive nature, right? I appreciate that. And I would recommend that you think about ways to bypass the YouTube, the Facebook algorithm, and get my content out there to the right people via email and other ways, because the future is going to have some major challenges. And there's going to be a lot of people talking about war with China and Russia in the future, but they're not going to be exposing how the controllers have set all these nations up in advance, right? They're going to be on board the nationalistic program. And so as Donald Trump potentially re-enters political office in 2024, he may very well inherit a conflict that Joe Biden helped start. I'm Alex Ansary, signing off here for October 20th, 2023. The website is alexansary.substack.com. Enter into your email and you will be notified of new blogs, videos, and podcasts. Take care. God bless. In Jesus' name, may you all be safe in mind, body, and spirit, and the hereafter.
There's one more thing that I want to bring your awareness to. We're going to be looking at the very public profile of Zoe Ansary. Now, she is also part Anglo, part Afghani, just like I am, but there's a major difference between Zoe and I. Zoe doesn't stand up for the dead Afghanis, for the victims of war. She's not exposing the New World Order. So you can be ethnic, you can be of mixed race heritage, but if you stand against the system, if you stand against genocide, if you expose the New World Order, you will be censored and you will be attacked. But if you are ethnic and you are a woman and you're beautiful, you get a pass. She's not the only one. There are many women from many cultures around the world that are using TikTok and social media to promote nothing other than their beauty. So as long as they don't stand up against the system, they will have millions and millions and millions of followers. So remember me, folks, right? When somebody has a powerful soul and they have powerful information and they're of a certain combination of genetics, they will face interference while other people live very successful lives.